All right, good morning. It's Monday, 11th of October 2021, doing my daily check in. So, yesterday I decided that I'll be doing these a lot more, and I've been doing it 3 days in a row. So, let's see if I can keep the streak going. I made some changes to my morning routines. I feel like morning routines are really good for you, but at the same time, I also think that it's very easy to fall into the trap of trying to do too much in the mornings and then becoming counterproductive, right? The way I measure what I need to do or what I think I should do is based on what my overall objectives and goals in life are, right? So if I am if you're trying to to build a boat and become a good boat builder, then obviously you're going to try and optimize your week and most days based on how can I become a better boat builder. For me, that thing is building businesses, learning how to monetize, and then building bigger businesses in a very long run. So I am trying to build a I'm trying to build. Let me just change my music real quick. Let me give me 1 second there. I am trying to. There you go. I'm trying to optimize. I sometimes use Kobe Bryant as an example, in the sense that it is said that he would train somewhere between 2 to 6 times a day sometimes, and especially on the regular, he would be training 4 times a day. So you had 4 training sessions, and the idea behind it is if he trains 4 times a day and the other person trains twice a day or once, he's going to be twice or 4 times as good because he just has that much more hours in it that he's practicing, right? So for me, although I'm not competing on an athlete level, and business is slightly different because you could argue that business is very competitive and then you need to compete with other people, but at the same time there's so much opportunity that you don't necessarily need to compete. It depends on how you look at it. I believe that both perspectives are right. So for me, this applies to routines. It means that if I want to be one of the great in my areas, and I want to build that insane business, those insane businesses that I have in mind, those three. So online global schooling system, extending longevity and lifespan of humanity, and then also space. If I want to build those three, I need to do certain things and learn certain habits and continuously develop my skills so that I can get there. Right now, I only know how to build small businesses, right? I only know that. Sure, we've got about five that are running, decent. We've got three that are running really well, four that are running really well, five, six that are decent, and there's going to be more. But they're small businesses, right? We're not talking about millions here. We're not talking about having hundreds and hundreds of employees. We don't have it about these big, massive organizations. But I need to continuously learn more about how to build small businesses and then bigger businesses eventually, and scale these businesses so that I can then take that knowledge to build those three big businesses in the long term, in 5, 10, 25 years. So for me, my routines then need to be optimized around how can I do as much as possible in a day that would get me closer to getting to build those three businesses. And of course, there's also elements such as what's going to make me feel better, feel good, what's going to make me feel bad, what's going to make me feel better, whom do I want to spend time with, right? Because my fiance, my family, that's important. So I try to optimize my day in how I can be more productive, and this applies to my morning routines. I used to overdo them. I used to have these lists and I would just dread waking up and I had to do so much. And now I'm trying to really minimize it. So I would wake up, I would just go outside, get some sunlight, meditate, and then, train my mind a little bit and then get into the office. That's where I'm at right now. So I woke up maybe, 30 minutes ago. And I, I think that there's a fine balance between having too much set routines and too little. I think that a lot of people go through life without much of a sense of a direction. And I'm not saying this in an arrogant way. Hey, I have more direction than you do. Maybe I have right now than a lot of people. But only 5 years ago, I had no. Excuse me. 5 years ago, I had no idea where I was going either. So maybe even 3 years ago, I didn't know that clearly where I was going. So I feel like if you are just going through your day and you don't have that clear sense of purpose where you want to go in 1 or 5 or 10 years, I feel like you're going to treat your days completely different. Because maybe you would know, what is wasteful and what isn't. And that doesn't mean you need to want to build businesses, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying everyone should be productive all the time. But when I say productivity, I don't just mean work. I mean doing things that you either enjoy or doing things that contribute to whatever it is you want, right? And what you want could be, I want to go on a holiday, or, I want to work less, or I want to work more, or I want to garden, or I want to, spend more time with my children or with my family. Whatever that objective is, I think it's important to have that. And I look at a lot of older people, so we're talking about 40, 50 plus, and even younger as well. But I've seen that growing up, that a lot of the people that I knew that were older than me, and it's actually not true, because a lot of people close to me that were in my age group were the same. I felt like they had no sense of direction. If you would ask them, what do you want in life, it'd just be the generic answers, but in truth they would know. They would know what they want in life. And I used to judge people if they didn't know what they wanted. I used to judge them, and I used to feel better. I'm not going to lie about that. But as I have gained more experience in dealing with these things, I don't judge them anymore. Because who am I to judge anyone, right? First of all. And secondly, I was there as well. So what gives me the right to sit on a high horse? I just think that the way society is structured right now, there's not enough time spent on what do you want out of life, right? We are biological animals, meaning we have a certain biology, and there's certain instincts and hormones that drive us, right? So if you look at mating and things such as, reproduction and sex, you can call these a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it's a biological thing where we want to reproduce because that's how we evolved. Okay. You could argue, yeah, but you love, yeah, sure, okay, but it's still biological needs, okay? You can call it a penguin. I don't care what you call it. We can debate on it, but I do think that most people would agree that it's a biological need. Dogs reproduce, okay? We reproduce, okay? Don't feel that much better than a dog when it comes to reproduction. Now, obviously, humans are different when it comes to their brains, right? And I think we don't spend enough time teaching our children. I don't think we spend enough time teaching our younger generations and ourselves, right, about how to use this. And when I say use this, I don't mean go to school and learn something, right? Just, learn these numbers and be able to fill in the answers on a test. No, I'm talking about consciousness and awareness. And nowhere in school we talked about what is my sense of direction in life. We talked about what job do you want to do, but that's not a sense of direction in life. That's just something to pay the bills and then get by, right? And if you're lucky enough, and I say lucky and I mean that, although I don't believe in that word, I believe in creating your own luck. However, in this context, I want to use it. If you're lucky enough to find a job that you enjoy 80 or 75% of the time, then you're amongst, the lucky few in the world. But nowhere in school we talked about routines. We know where we talked about, do certain things in your day to get a certain result. And I get why that is, because why would you talk about morning or evening routines or developing good habits if you don't even talk about a sense of direction? And I know I kind of derailed about the morning routines topic, but that's where my mind went, and I'm trying to just let it go where it wants to go rather than try to force it into a box. How can you feel good if you have no sense of direction, right? that's a contradiction, because obviously you can do things that give you pleasure, right? And you might be happy, and you could do that without having a sense of direction in life, right? You're just living. I get that. I know people that are that way, and that's okay. However, I do think that a lot of people would benefit from having a clearer sense of direction. Well, and that could be anything, right? That could be anything. 1 year goal, 5 year goal. It might be something unrealistic. It might be something unattainable. But I believe that as soon as you have a better sense of direction, you just look at life differently. Because you evaluate what you do based against that thing that you have in mind that you want to get to. And it really saddens me to see when I see people, especially people that are closer to me, that do not have this sense of direction, and then you can see that they're just kind of living by, and they're sad to say, they're waiting to die. But how sad is that? How it's a sad thing, because we're here, so we might as well do something with it, right? And I blame the way society is set up, because if you look at how society was, I do believe that it is created for individuals not to think by themselves. Because when you start thinking too much for yourself, I don't know, some people are going to take offense at this statement, right? But whatever, screw that. I think that if you think too much for yourself, you are not just going to follow all the guidelines and rules. Now, I'm not talking about laws, right? You obviously want to follow the law, because otherwise you have a negative effect on your life, right? If you get caught breaking the law, you might get a fine. You don't want to pay that, so you avoid breaking the law. Or if you do something really bad, you might get imprisoned. You don't want that. I'm not talking about legal laws. I'm talking about rules, social rules. When you get peer pressure into doing things, when everyone in your village or village sounds weird. I mean town, sounds so old school. When everyone in your town and in your city or in your country does a certain thing a certain way, right? Then you're kind of expected to do the same, although it's not legally obligated to do so. But if you don't, you might get peer pressured. You might get frowned upon. They might look at you a different way. They might not invite you as much, right? And it's those rules. The only way that a society can coherently work together and exist is if people follow the majority of the social rules. Because if people are not following the social rules, then by definition it would be counter to a society functioning together. So I get why it is the way it is, right? I'm not saying it should be anarchy. I'm not saying there should not be social rules. However, I'm just stating that besides the benefits that it gives, it also gives the negatives, the disadvantage, that you're not encouraged to think outside of the box and ask yourself, hey, what everyone around me is doing, does that make sense, right? Because if you start looking at cultures, when I started traveling, and I was in China for a while, spent time overseas as well, and it's not that I traveled that many places yet. However, I saw a lot of different cultures to the places that I went, and the things that I was taught growing up did not apply there, or the other places I went. And that made me realize, hold on now, I thought this was true. I thought this was the way to do things. But now I visited this other country and this other culture, and things are completely different. And they believe they're right, and I believe I'm right. So what does that teach me? It teaches me that we're all wrong, and we're all just making things up as we go to fit together in that society, in that culture that we created. And that made me realize, well, hold on now, if they all create their own rules, because this country does that, and this country does this, and that culture does this, and that culture does that, why can't I create my own rules for me? My own social rules, right? And that's when I started doing what I wanted to do. And applied to morning routines, I believe that if you fit in a box, you're just going to have morning routines that are expected from you, right? Due days, wake up at this time, go to work at that time. And I get that we sometimes need to do that to get by because we have a job and we need to show up to get paid. I get that, right? I'm not saying stop doing that. That would be not realistic. That would be stupid advice if I said that. However, what I do say is, and ask of you, if you're listening to this and if you've spent that much time listening to me, I'm sorry, then I do want to ask of you, do you know where you're going? Do you know where you want to go in 1, 2, 3, 5 years? Or even, in 2 weeks, in 2 months? And if no, maybe you can spend some time thinking about that, right? What would you like to do? What would you like to be? And once you figure that out, ask yourself, what can you do in the next X amount of weeks, X amount of months, X amount of years to get closer to that? And then when you start looking at a daily basis, you can really go really into detail. What can I do today to get closer to where I want to go? And I think that once you have that, you just have a different sense of direction. I don't wake up and start watching Netflix because I know what I need to do. That doesn't mean I don't watch Netflix. I watch TV. I chill. Not enough, but I try to chill. I'm a workaholic, right? So it's a bit difficult for me to take time off, but at the same time I do chill. There's nothing wrong with chilling. But if you have no sense of direction, you just kind of wake up and you do whatever. So yeah, that was it for today. Let me know what you think about that. Give an app.